Hello and welcome to Schedules Plus Tutorials. In today's videos we're going to take a look at the Provider Logon module. If you are using the Services option within Schedules Plus, you're creating service requests and assigning a provider to actually deliver that service. These providers will now have the ability to log on to a special part of the system and see their daily assigned service requests, edit those requests online, and also add new service requests. Adding new service requests can be particularly beneficial when a provider is delivering a service perhaps in a person's home, and while they're there the individual asks them to do just one more thing or another set of services. In this way the provider would be able to add that additional service request to the system dynamically and very quickly. So let's take a look at how you set this up. First, administratively, you're in Services and Providers, and we can see here in our sample system we have a couple of providers. There's a column called Can the user can they use the provider module? Can this particular provider use the provider module? And right now it's blank. We want to enable this for Chris so that he can use a user ID and a password to sign into that provider module whenever he needs to. So let's take a look at Chris as a provider, and we're going to click on Chris's name to take us to his person record. First, Chris needs to have an email address because signing into the system requires an email and password. And then we're going to click on Admin Update and authorize Chris to be a provider and be able to access the provider module. You see here Chris does not have any access to the account as a whole, but he's going to be given access to the provider logon. Additionally, you're going to make note of the website down here because you're going to want to give this particular address for your account to him so that he can use that to log into the provider module. Once you've added him to the system as a provider with logon capability, you'll want to give him his password. You can set that password for him or let it default to the randomly generated one that the system provides. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and so now that's updated. So now let's go over to that new provider logon page and take a look at how Chris uses the provider logon page. When we arrive at the provider logon page, we're going to use our user ID and password to sign in. And then Chris is presented with all of his assigned service requests for the day displayed. Chris can move by day here and look at additional days, and he can also use the quick use buttons to go quickly to a specific date. He can also sort it by time and can sort it by name. So we can see here the service ID, which is a unique ID for every service request, the time of the service, the status of that service, the individual or client receiving that service, what is the type of service, the anticipated duration, the units, if there's a fee, and if there's been any payment. For Chris now, who wants to edit that record and he's completed that service, he can simply click on the Edit button and it will open a window that he can then update. And he can easily update information within that pane and save that. And so then that information would be updated. If while he's there another service needs to be delivered, he can easily click on the Add New button and create that new service request. He can identify the status, if in fact it was completed, and what specifically that was. So now that's been added, and both of those are now reflected. The original service request and then the additional service request. So it's really that simple to edit a service request and then add a new one when needed. That's a quick view at what a provider can do using the logon features of the Provider Logon module. Thank you for joining this tutorial.